As we've been reporting, former Vice President Mike Pence says he would consider testifying before the January 6th House Select Committee if invited. Several of Pence's aides have already spoken to the panel. For more, I want to turn to my colleague, CBS News congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane. And Scott, we know the Select Committee isn't commenting on the former vice president's remarks, but what is the likelihood of them asking him to testify?
Yeah, Nicole, it's really interesting where he made that statement at the Politics and Eggs event in New Hampshire, where a lot of people are thinking about 2024. So there's both a political and a practical impact to what he said. The practical impact is kind of unclear. Does the committee even want to talk to Mike Pence at this point? They've left the door open, just like Mike Pence left the door open today. But the committee is wrapping up its work. I mean, they've got weeks left till the end of the session, till Election Day, a few weeks in the backside during the lame duck session. Then this committee expires at about the end of the calendar year. So there's a finite amount of time. And they have spoken to so many people in Pence's inner circle and so many other stakeholders who were here at the Capitol January 6th. It's unclear what they would yield from Mike Pence that they don't know already. But the door is open, both from the committee and from Mike Pence. So the political impact perhaps is more immediate and more clear. Mike Pence entertaining publicly the idea of sitting with the January 6th committee is another break with former President Trump, who again used the phrase hacks and thugs to refer to the January 6th committee, which he continues to call the Unselect Committee. Breaking with President Trump, even in small ways, even in subtle ways, is noteworthy politically at this moment in time.
And in other January 6 news, Oath Keepers members are due in court Monday on seditious conspiracy charges. What more do we know about that case?
I've got that date circled on my calendar, Nicole. This is the highest level U.S. Capitol attack case so far. This group of accused seditious conspirators who are accused of raising arms and raising money and raising a plan ahead of January 6th. They're in court for a pre-trial hearing Monday ahead of a September trial date in this case. I'm told from a defense lawyer associated with the case that they're going to consider asking for yet another delay in the trial. It's been 19 months since January 6th. They may try to delay the trial further, and it's possible, they argue, the coverage of the Mar-a-Lago search from last Monday might inflame or potentially bias jurors. They have made arguments before that the jury is too inflamed to have a trial now, and the judge has swatted away those arguments. Likely they'll try again on Monday. But as things stand now, this highest level case, which has been synthesized into the January 6th Select Committee hearings as well, is set to happen just down the road from the Capitol in mid-September.
And then turning to New York, early voting is underway in the state's primary elections this Tuesday. Walk us through what you find significant in some of these races.
They're working the phones all day today ahead of Tuesday's swan song of America's primary season in New York. Here's the thing. There's been some focus in recent weeks and recent months about this unique intra-party battle in Manhattan between two chairmen of two committees, Chairman Carolyn Maloney of the House Oversight Committee, Chairman Jerry Nadler of the Judiciary Committee. They're going to go head-to-head. It's going to be a battle. One of them's going to lose. Some senior member, powerful member of the House is done in January because of that. But I'm looking at three other races in particular. The New York 10th district is an interesting one. Mondaire Jones, the young congressman who was kind of boxed out of his current district when they redrew the lines, chose to run in the New York 10th. And for a hot minute, former Mayor Bill de Blasio of New York City was in that race. But look out for Dan Goldman. There's a debate tonight in the New York 10th district. Goldman is now viewed as a frontrunner as he's secured in this district the prized New York Times endorsement. Some recent polling shows him ahead of this rather large race, this large pack of candidates. Dan Goldman's top-line issue in this campaign is preserving democracy, the maintenance of democracy as it's under threat from election denialists and from Trumpism, according to his campaign. What a distinctive top-line issue in a year when so many Democrats are racing towards kitchen table issues and inflation issues as they're most prominent on the campaign trail. Look out for Dan Goldman Tuesday. He's also a face some people recognize as an attorney who helped with the first Trump impeachment in the U.S. House. Also keeping an eye on the New York 19th, a little further upstate, the Hudson Valley, the mid-Hudson Valley, Ulster County, Dutchess County. That's a special election Tuesday. The Ulster County executive running against the Dutchess County executive on the other side of the Hudson River. This is likely a red district, but Democrats say it's a canary in the coal mine race Tuesday, Nicole. If the Democrat, Pat Ryan of Ulster County, keeps it within 5 to 7 points, could be an indication Democrats are a bit more bullish, have better odds than previously thought moving toward November. And also, it's worth mentioning the New York 17th District, another redrawn map. Sean Patrick Maloney, the chairman of the Democratic Campaign Committee, raced towards that district. He's running there. He was accused of boxing out one or some of his colleagues to get that district to run in. And of course, as he runs the Democratic Campaign Committee, his critics say it didn't look good that he boxed out other candidates trying to win high office. It's a potentially competitive general election there. The primary, though, may be easier sailing Tuesday for Sean Patrick Maloney.
And then very quickly, I just want to turn to some other big matchups. We're seeing some tighter polls in the Senate races in Wisconsin and Florida. Meantime, you've got the National Republican Senatorial Committee cutting some of its ad buys in other critical battlegrounds. What's going on here?
Keeping a close eye on Florida in particular. Val Demings, the congresswoman, the impeachment manager in the first impeachment of Donald Trump, trying to oust Marco Rubio. Some polls show optimism for Democrats. I spoke with the Demings team today. That's a campaign going to push the Inflation Reduction Act, the kitchen table issue, at every stop she makes, seemingly, on the governmental side as well, Nicole. And as a congresswoman, she expects to talk about that a lot during the rest of this August recess.
All right. Well, a lot to keep your eye on. Scott MacFarlane, thanks so much.